let's get back to the real stage at hand. So, uh, everybody's talking about like how women make less than men, this and that, yada yada. This is what I guess equal rights and feminist movement originally started at because they wanted equal rights as men. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Women who are working at the same company as men get hired for lower wages um, because they're women. Um, Men's basketball players get paid more than women's basketball players because um, men's basketball doesn't bring in more revenue to the company so
It's
that they
because
can
they're
pay
women.
higher wages. They're just women.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that the U.S. women's soccer team should be getting paid more than the men's soccer team because the men's soccer team is absolute dog water, and they shouldn't even be a real
I
team.
mean, low key, yeah, the women's soccer team is actually fire.
Yeah,
No cap.
so yeah, I watched that when I was in Ghana a couple years back, and literally the women's team should be getting all the sponsorships, everything, because the men's team is just like a waste of money. But we haven't really reviewed any fresh and fit content. I don't think that I haven't really seen their content on TikTok as much as I used to, but apparently they're still going strong. They got over their brief downfall, and shout out to the City Boys for keeping them up because we all know that the City Boys are the only reason why Fresh and Fit are still a thing. But with that being said, let's just jump into the video.
The reason why is because they work less hours than men. They're less likely to do overtime. They're more likely to take vacation time. They're more likely to work less dangerous jobs. They're more likely to go into fields that pay less. It's not that there's a wage gap because men are a patriarchy and all this other stuff. No, there's no wage gap. When you actually compare apples to apples and compare people in the same career field with the same education, everything else like that, they actually found in a lot of careers women earn more than the men.
Google.
Okay? That is a fact. The wage gap is a myth that has been debunked a million times. And let's use a little bit of common sense for everybody out here because you guys seem to be fairly intuitive. If I was an employer and I could literally get away with paying a woman 80 cents on the dollar to versus $1 for men, why the fuck would I hire men?
At all.
I would hire women. I could get away with it.
Facts.
Oh, not also to mention, the Department of Labor outlawed this back in the fucking 60s or whatever. It's illegal to pay women less. You can't get away with it. Okay? And you got affirmative action now. So the wage gap.
So Fresh and Fit, while I don't always agree with them because the women that they bring on are just like super mediocre. I watched a video yesterday where this woman literally would not stop talking. Like she was just trying to argue, period.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like what we're talking about is like, okay. So he goes into it, and I think I'll pull up the next video, but essentially he goes into it where he's just like, there's more women in college. And instead of deciding to go into like scientists, doctors, things like this, like a
STEM.
while, yeah, like, yeah, STEM, as they would say, a lot of women choose to still go into jobs that are in basket weaving and secretarial and like healthcare and all these things that are kind of just like that don't make as much money as like if I'm a nuclear physicist, of course I'm going to make more than my secretary. Like,
Well, it's said that men are men like things and women like people.
you know, and the
That's why
man's
men are more.
status is definitely
Mhm.
determined by how talented he is over women. I mean, a woman could have absolutely no talent, jump in a hot tub on Twitch and make $80,000 a year.
But a man can't do that.
But I mean, I guess her talent is being social and being enjoyable to watch, you know, these
Mhm.
BBLs going around. So everybody is just looking the
I
same
don't.
nowadays. And
I don't get that crazy, bro. Just go to the gym. Like it's like literally.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, oh, oh.
You
I'm
want
being fat
women to
phobic.
work for what is hard to get instead of going to Miami and getting a surgery that will literally make them look like a Barbie doll. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
bro,
I'm sorry.
yo, next you're gonna say little Kim don't look good.
What do you mean?
You haven't seen Lil Kim?
Yeah, I've seen it. That's a queen.
All right, we'll just go ahead and keep going with this video.
Is a myth, and you don't even know what it is.
Neither do you.
Here we
He
go.
just told you.
Just explain.
Yo, like that's why I don't like this, because like women, they'll just come on the show and just argue to argue, bro. He literally laid out all the facts, and she was like, "Neither do you." It's like, what are you talking about? Like, who?
Because he's gonna win, bro. He's gonna win.
Imagine
He's gonna
using
win.
facts and research. And that's another thing that Brittany Rayner was talking about. She was like, I guess she did this interview, like, or she did a video in her car after she went on the Fresh and Fit podcast. And I
Mhm.
will say she did roast his ass when he tried to challenge her. So I'll commend her on that. But she was just like, y'all need to stop looking at all these statistics, all this like facts and bullshit, and realize that men are weak and blah, blah, yada, yada. And it doesn't matter if a woman has a high body count, like she still deserves to be happy. And men do it all the time. Men are having sex with multiple women and like all this blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, the men you are having sex with are having sex with
Have
multiple
sex with
women.
multiple women because 80% of the men in existence are invisible to you.
Exactly. It's like she wouldn't date somebody who has literally less money than her, who isn't driving a Mercedes, who isn't doing all this clout chasing bullshit. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, like if you're saying all these men are cheating on you, then go date a dude who works at Walmart. I guarantee you, she could look in she could look in her DMs, find a gooberous dude in there, and he'll date her and never cheat on her. Like, period. Like,
Did you tell me a number? Like you asked me? No.
He said,
All right, fine. Guys,
he did.
here we have facts on our channel on YouTube.
He
We
sure
have links, so if you guys want to,
Yeah, it's all on the channel.
Yeah,
But
like
it's
we
fun.
literally have a whole link tree, by
Yep,
the way.
right here.
Like I'm not just here
Let's
to
go,
talk shit.
Brandon.
Like we have all the stuff with studies and
Yo.
everything else like that linked for you guys to read. Peer reviewed, all that.
Yeah, so
The
if-
wage gap
yeah.
is a myth that has been debunked
Peer
a million
reviewed.
times by any
Right here.
any economist worth his weight in so like has any type of intelligence would tell you the wage gap is a myth.
let's
There's
see
a
what
lot
she
of
has to say.
corruption, and it's in different corporations. There possibly could be true. Men are getting paid more in the same position that women are in, and they're getting paid more. It all
They're getting
depends.
paid more.
There's
That's
crooks
not
and
true.
there's corruption,
Okay.
so you can't.
I just outlined to you why women get paid less on average.
Right.
Okay? It's from choice. Not because of their genitalia, it's because of what they choose to do, what they choose to work. Women don't go into dangerous jobs. The top 10 earning jobs are male dominated. All the most dangerous jobs, male dominated. Women want to get into more office jobs, more social work, whatever. It pays less. It is what it is. I don't see
Work
no women
smarter, not
construction
harder.
workers. I don't see female engineers. I don't see female scientists. I don't see females in STEM. I don't see females offshore oil drilling. I don't see them doing dangerous jobs. They're not doing it.
I see models.
Sometimes there is that tough bitch that's out there
my
doing that.
Congratulations. She's
One
the
of-
1%.
Sometimes.
Well, fuck it, 1%.
Some-
Okay,
Sometimes.
but we can't talk about exceptions to the rule. It's statistically insignificant. Okay? So the wage gap is a myth, and I debunked it right there for you guys.
So there's another video. Which he goes more into detail about. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like
Men make a
they're gonna make it into like literally there's no facts, and it's like I guarantee you none of those women do anything that's going to make them more money than like instead of like doing something with their lives, they're just like, oh, I want to go be on Fresh and Fit. Like the
Okay.
thing is like, okay, so like let's just take this situation. Fresh and Fit are hosting a podcast. They're making money off of these females, and that's their job. The females come onto the show, and what do they do? What do they get? More followers on Instagram,
Mhm.
if that. And
And
maybe,
they gotta pay to be on this thing, right?
I'm
believe
not
so.
sure. I don't
I don't
follow
know.
like that. But either way, like think about it. Like even in this situation right here, like you're not getting paid to come on this show and talk. You're volunteering. You're offering yourself up to come talk on the
Mhm.
show, and you're not getting paid while they're getting paid to make profit off of you. So,
Mhm.
but he goes into more detail on this one.
$1 for every 80 cents that women make, right?
No, that's not the statistic.
That's where the wage gap comes
It's
from.
$1 to 78 cents to 75 cents to 68
Same thing.
cents.
Same thing.
There's
Same-
a difference.
We're about 78 cents, 80 cents, same thing. But that's where the
20
premise
cents.
comes. But that comes from all full-time working women and all full-time working men. But that's a terrible thing to use because men and women are very different. The reason why women make less money than men is not because of gender, it's because of choice. Here's the reality. Men on average work more hours. They work more dangerous jobs that pay more.
Mhm.
They go into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Women go into jobs that pay less, social work, nursing, teaching, etc. Okay? And also, women take more vacation, paternity leave, etc. Women don't
Bro, and that's the thing too, is like they're talking about like real life taking like vacation. It's like most of us don't even take, like I have to be damn near forced to take vacation time.
Bro, when I came out the military, I had like 3 months to use or lose, dog.
Yeah.
Because
Because-
between all the federal holidays that I had
Yeah.
and just being an NCO, like I needed to be there.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like we're more dedicated when it comes to jobs like that. Like I'm not gonna cancel my trip to Cancun or nothing like that. But like my whole goal and ambition isn't to be like, all right, let me make $5,000 so I can go blow it on a vacation because I need to relax.
Mhm.
Like, and that's what we talked about in the last video, where it's like, all right, Black China literally made $52 million on OnlyFans. And now she's talking about, oh, I'm broke. It's like, how? Where did you spend $52 million? One, probably on bad investments, because trying to go into makeup and clothing and all this other stuff, like that sounds nice on paper. But think about the top designers. You think the top designers are going to let some ratchet chick from the hood come through and be like, oh, you're going to be the next Louis Vuitton? Like, that's just,
It's not even that. Like, just clothing in general is just saturated. Like,
Yes.
like you gotta bring something radically new.
and that's the thing. You can't really bring radically new things to that because people have their, what's that? Like they have their preferences. So like if I wear Gucci, I'm wearing Gucci because I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks. I'm not just going to be like, oh, Black China made something that looks kind of like this and it's cheaper. It doesn't feel the same. She's still coming up. Like I'm just not going to downgrade. And that's what a lot of these females don't understand. And on top of that, like clothing is even easier to get. I can get on Fashion Nova Men, buy a shirt for $13. So why would I buy a $700 shirt?
Hmm.
When I can buy a $13 shirt, I can buy 5 $13 shirts and then save the rest of that money for a rainy day or wherever else I want to do. So we'll finish this.
argue for higher wages like men do. They're more agreeable. And that's just the reality. Women make less because of choice, not because of gender. Number one, it's illegal to pay a woman less because of the Labor Act in the 70s. And then number two, let's just use common sense here. You're an economist. If I could really get away with paying women 80 cents on the dollar, I would never hire a fucking man. I would hire only women.
Never.
I will make significantly more money, more profit, and I could pay them less. But you can't do that. The thing is this. That statistic, the wage gap, where it's derived from, it does not account for degrees held, experience, type of job work, whatever. I don't see all the women fighting to do offshore drilling, to do any type of manual labor. Women go for jobs that are comfortable and safe in an office that are air conditioned, that tend to make less money and tend to be more socially oriented. And then if you look at Scandinavian countries, shout out to Jordan Peterson, right? We're going to meet him tomorrow.
Shout out to him.
Which is even more egalitarian and more equal than the United States. They found that when you give women more equality, which is the most equal countries in the world, they actually make even less money because of their choices. They want to go into fields that pay less. So, and here's the other thing too. Women go to college more than men now. Colleges are dominated by women. Almost 3/4 of college attendees now are women.
Yep.
And they still choose to go into fields that make less money. And the men still dominate science, technology, engineering, and math, which need a college degree. So the women choose not to go into those fields, and that is why they get paid less. They don't want to go into STEM. And then on top of that, if a woman does want to go into STEM or get into a field that is male dominated, that makes more money, they're going to have an overwhelming advantage because of affirmative action.
Okay.
So the wage gap myth does not exist. It's a fallacy. It's been debunked a million times. Women don't get paid less because they have a vagina. Women get paid less because they choose to do certain things that make less money, and that's a fact.
Okay.
Hate it or love it, you spin facts. Like, I was a bio major before I went into the military, and there were a bunch of females there that were going to be either biologists or nursing. No, most of them were either going to nursing or pre-med. And even among that major, that school of biology, there wasn't a lot of females compared to males.
Yeah. And like low key, when I was younger, I wanted to be a computer engineer, but since I went into the Air Force, there are schools that no schools offered computer engineering degrees because of the way that the military pays for your school. And it's like, well, you have these colleges that you can choose from, whether, and I went overseas for 8 years. So it was one of those things where I low key wanted to go like Texas Tech or what is that? What's that school in Georgia? I can't remember, but it's an black engineering school. But either way, but I wanted to go into engineering, and because my cousin was in engineering, and my cousin makes a lot of money, but I think his ex-wife made, I don't know if she made as much money as him, but she was in like a graphic design or something like that. And she worked with Adobe and everything like that, maybe did something with them. But that job probably paid significantly less than a job in computer engineering. Like there's engineers, architects, like those are high demand jobs and people just don't go into them. So the whole wage gap thing is like he said, is like, if it was cheaper to hire women, all companies would do it. Why would they hire men? So we have all these things that we're arguing about, and they're just not true, like at all. Like
Not at all. Not at all.
like oil rigging, like you can make what $150,000. Like even with us working on planes, like whenever a team came out, like a depot team or like a specialty team, how many women were on the crew?
Zero. Like the multiple times they tried to fix the phase birds because those helicopters are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Had a bunch of cracks in them. It was just males every time, and they flew them out. And they flew them out from Texas, so they were getting paid.
Yeah,
They were
I
getting
met
paid.
a dude who literally came to do a TCTO or something like that, and he was like, "I'm not gonna lie to you." He's like, "I make about $200,000 a year." And the thing
I
is,
believe it.
the jobs that we do are not hard. And like he was saying, if a woman comes into a career field like that, she's most likely going to be babied and she's going to make just as much money. Like say a woman can't break a bolt or something like that. What's going to happen? Oh, I got you. Some dude's going to come and go, oh, I got you. But the thing is, these jobs don't always require you to break a bolt. Like some of these jobs are just like, hey, we're swapping out this box and laying down wiring and things like that. And if you're into basket weaving, like a lot of these women are, like, that would be right up your alley. It's like, if you can knit a sweater, you can lay down some electrical wire, bro. Like, it's not any different. But that's the thing too, is like men get electrocuted, things like that, shocked, and it's just part of the day. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I hit my head, scrape my hands up, all types of stuff. And it's just like, yeah, the job is hard, but it's not like, oh man, I'm going to die. Women also want to have this perception that they need to look good all the time and they can't be a rugged woman. Like even with I think they passed the women could go into operators a couple years
in
back.
the military,
Yeah. And literally that shit failed because there was a story where 2 women went to a camp and literally all the men were only focused on the women. So
it's a natural thing.
So then they had to get the women out of there because the dudes were literally not performing their tasks. They were just like, hey, yo, like I'm trying to spit some game. Like you're in the middle of the desert, nothing's going on. You're fit, she's fit, y'all, like it's just natural behavior.
Yeah.
So and then those females ended up getting ran through or something like that. And the unit cohesion was like out the door. So
it's messed up because you build jealousy and drama and all this other stuff.
So yeah, I mean, there's certain things that men and women shouldn't mix in, especially when it comes to life and death things, but women definitely have a lot more choices nowadays. I mean, like we hear it all the time. It's like, oh, if World War III starts, like I'm not going to war. Like that's for men to do. So you can't have this double standard. So until next time.